Possibly before the end of next week, we started to have the boards available now finally. The X-Fire V8 are the new racing machine that are going to be used in the World Cup next year, but all your customers can buy them today and still use them today. What we did on the X-Fire's V8 is a long work between Arnon Dagan, which is our Israeli rider in charge of the whole design team, together with Andrea Rosati, with Enrico Marotti from Croatia, and of course Aurelio, the master shaper, to do all the prototype. And the final word on the board is going to be given by Antoine himself. So this team is what represents the real R&D department, the real hardcore, the Formula One racing department of RRD. And we're especially proud to introduce us what we feel are the biggest step forward we had in the collection of X-Fire to date. Arnon had a really tough task because he had to make boards and to design and to conceive boards that were better in every sort of aspect compared to the V7s. And I gave him this job description last year with one thing in mind. What you have to come out with doesn't have to be just better. It has to be winning. You know, with these boards, I want the people simply to, in every race, national races, international races, weekend races, I want the people to win. And winning means that the board has to be done everything much better than before. And so it's a really tough call, but from the first approaches that we have, not only from the testing team, but from the national, let's say, sailors around the world, especially the most important sizes, the 114, the 122, and the 108, are representing a huge step forward in terms of speed and exit from the jibing. What you have to remember, the board doesn't have, the X-Fire and the slalom boards today, to win races, you do not have to only be the fastest one or the one that planes earlier. You have to be averagely better than everybody else. You have to start, of course, with the best, so you have to start as fast as possible on the starting line. And that means that in case somebody's on top of you, you get a little bit of a shadow wind from the one in front of you, you can move down and get out of the situation as fast as possible. You can always use the board and the sail potential to the maximum. You always have to have spare control. You always have to have spare speed, because your tactics are the most important thing to never forget. At the end of the day, you have to forget about your equipment, you have to concentrate on the race. And only at a time you have a perfect balance between rail, between board, fin, and sail, you can do that. Then you become a racer. And the X-Fire are designed for this. You have to forget the boards. So, in terms of details, what was the thing that Aaron and you have been trying to really achieve
Yes.
on the 122, for example?
Okay, we feel it in the B7, the board are good, but we want jibing better than this one. And we move it the maximum wider, little bit in the back. For that we have narrow nose, little bit more high, and more curve in the back. With this you can enter in the jibe, you can jibe in better, you can go out to the jibing better also, because also the front foot you have half a centimeter more wide. So with this we stop completely, reduce the outline after the strap, back foot strap. You have more speed also, and jibbing also a little bit better. The last thing of the jibbing, this part is helping. So with this we have the board, we have a little bit more high under the mast rack, and more potential from the front between the back. With this you can jibbing better, planning early after the jibbing, and what you can tell him, go out from the accident,
Critical situations.
keeping better the speed and faster.
And what we noticed with this change in terms of maximum width farther back, more curve, and then abrupt curve breakage, like on the tail over here, it's generally a more substantial control feeling. When you're locked in your strap, you feel more in control. Before the board was like tending to go on the rail a little bit more, this board stays more flat. When you really want to power it up, then you put it on the rail. So we achieve what we call it a more predictable behavior, which is essential when you're racing. You want to be in the water and you want to know in all situations, if you have a chop in front of you, you're already going 28 knots, you want to be able to know what the board will do. You don't want to be saying, wow, maybe I just have to slow that flat out. If you just bear off, you know that the board is not going to touch in the front. It has to be like a package of reliability. It has to be a super compact car that enters in the corner, you just go for it and then you exit out and you accelerate. You don't have to think about anything else. And believe me, it's not ultimately just the speed, it's the whole thing. The more we go into the X-Fire department, more we think about the whole thing. So what we achieve and what we learn from the X-Fire development goes straight onto the other boards. That's why the World Cup designs are so important, because you learn things that you can then apply to a wakeboard, to a fire move board, to any board, to a beginner board even, because you learn things with a different type of level of stress. You really prove it that it's better. You don't just think, it's just better because maybe I do things. No, you prove it. It has to be better. You can measure performance. That's why what we do on the X-Fire is crucial for the future of the company. And I'm really, really proud of showing actually to the whole racing, the whole racing world around, that even by changing team riders and introducing other team riders into the World Cup, the results remain up there. Last year we had the biggest increase of position in the top 10 than we had before, even if we only sponsored 5 guys. Other brands sponsored 20, and they still don't have the right, the results as we have it in the top 10 of the World Cup.
What was impressive last year was, I think we had from 4 different events, we had 4 different winners. All on RRD, but
that shows you the potential. It's not just one guy that wins. Antoine, everybody says, okay, Antoine is the best one, is the fastest one, is the most consistent. Of course, he's a world champ. But then Arnaud won, Julian won, and everybody was always up there.
Yeah.
So other 3 events back to back, we had 3 different winners. That shows the product. It's not just the sailor, it's the board, and it's very, very important. Great.
Abbiamo parlato dei colori.
Yes.